All right, we're going to continue plugging along, if you will, through 1 John. Today we're going to be in verses 15 and 17 of chapter 2. Now, as we've been kind of going along here, we've been learning some valuable things. We've been learning about light and love and the contrast with darkness and with sin and with hate. And today we're going to take a look a little more personal, if you will. We're going to take a look at the world. Yes, we are in a world, but we don't have to be of it. We don't have to be like the world. Sometimes we are, but we don't have to be. Now, when you take a look at the New Testament, you're going to find that that term, world, is used an awful lot. Like, and you read John 1:10, it says, He, Jesus, was in the world, and the world was made through him, yet the world did not know him. Now, that's three different worlds. And often when we read that, we think, what in the world? God lost his mind? But if we understand the Greek just a little bit, we understand that there's a world, this thing we're standing on, spinning around, and then there's a world of people. That's what it can mean either. But today, there's a third term we're going to look at in the world, a third definition of the world, if you will. And it talks about that worldly system. And that's what John's going to convey to us, that when we're in this world, often it has an infection, if you will, or an impact on us. And there's things we can do and things we should do to avoid that infection. Because if you've ever had an infection, you know that doesn't seem like a whole lot at first. But after a while, an infection can be fatal. Starting out in 1 John 2, verses 15 through 17. Do not love the world or the things in the world. And right there, we could stop right there and spend weeks on that alone. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. Is that not cut and dry? It's pretty simple to understand. For all that is in the world, the desires of the flesh, the desires of the eyes, the pride of life, is not from the Father, but is from the world. Right there we have the source of these sort of things. And the world is passing away along with its desires. But whoever does the will of the Father abides forever. All right, let's break this down, because there's an awful lot here that we need to apply to our lives. There's a lot of it that we need to understand. Verse 15, do not love the world. And this is talking about that worldly system. Not the planet, not the population, but the world. That world of sin that opposes God and all his precepts. It's that system that we live within. Nor the things of the world. Of course, that would be the material goods of the world. For if anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. Worldliness is not so much a matter of activity. It's a matter of attitude. You think, hold it. But we have to apply it like we apply sin. Temptation isn't sin. Temptation starts with the attitude. It's that first step. It's that attitude. It's like when Jesus was teaching us that if a man looks at a woman with lust, he's already committed adultery. If it happens in the heart, and that's where John's taking us, right back down into the heart. That's why it's more about the attitude and what's going on inside us than what it is about the activities that we're involved in. And yes, we can reduce by watching our activities. It's staying away from, we can stay away from doubtful things. We can stay away from sinful amusements. We can stay away from places where we know that sin's going on. But we can still have that worldly heart. We can still have a love, if you will, or a desire for those things, those systems, those allures. And what worldliness will do to us is it's a slow fade, if you will. That's a good term for it. It's a numbing of our senses. It dulls our response to God's love. And it also dulls and hinders our response to God's will. See, because there should be a joy in our responses to God. There should be a joy that we love that the Father loves us, that we take enjoyment and pleasure from that. And we should enjoy doing the Father's will, even though it's difficult some days. I'm not going to stand up here and tell you guys that that's easy. Living out the Father's will for us is not easy at all. And when we take these things, this response to God's love and our response to God's will, we end up with that practical definition, if you will. It's anything that causes us to lose our enjoyment of the Father's love or desire to do His will. That's pretty much that's that definition. And it can be good things that draw us away from God as well. It can be those things that God actually blessed us with. Now there are things that are dead on. We know right from the jump. It's not okay to steal. It's not okay to lie. It's not okay to be physically intimate with someone you're not married to. We know these things. And these actions are little debate. There's no question about it. But good things as well can get in the way. And we should test ourselves to ask, is this good thing? Is it becoming a source of pride? A source of competition? Ministry can do that as well. You see, at some point, and I've seen it happen, and we're probably all guilty of it, is we take pride in our ministry. We can take a certain amount of competition, if you will, and say, well, look how big my ministry is. And we can say, we raise this much funds. We have this many people in our youth group. Look at that. Look at how great we're doing. Is that ministry or is that pride? You see, that's pride. We can go up here and look at the tally board every week and say, hey, look how good we're doing. Look at it. Man, the attendance is growing. It means we're doing it all right. No, that's not necessarily the case. You see, even though ministry can be good, it can also be a source of pride. And when that happens, we're taking a good thing and turning it into a worldly thing because it's something we can say we did. And aren't we saved by faith through grace, not of works? At least any man should boast. Verse 16 says, for all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the desires, the cravings of the flesh, and the longing and lust and desires of the eyes, and boastful pride, which is that pretentious confidence in our own resource. These things do not come from the Father, but come from the world. And these are the same three devices, the exact same three that the devil has used since the beginning of mankind to allure the saved and the sinful away from God. All the way back, let's go. All the way back. You can pick any Bible story you want. We could talk about David. We could talk about, we could go, each of these men and women in the Bible. Let's go all the way back to Adam and Eve. And it's that same track we see played out. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, there's lust of the flesh. And that it was pleasant to the eyes, there's lust of the eyes, covetousness. You see something and you want it. And the tree was desired to make one wise. There's your pride of life. I want to be better than what I am. And she took of the fruit and ate. Now before Eve gets too bad of a rap here, let's all remember that Adam should have been protecting her, but he wasn't doing his job, so let's not beat Eve up too much. The lust of the flesh, the first one we'll look at, that's anything that appeals to mankind's fallen nature. It's not necessarily talking about this stuff right here, this gooey stuff I live in or you live in. It's talking about our fallen nature, that nature we receive at birth. Anything that appeals to that, and then that appeal is amplified, if you will. Sleeping is not a bad thing. We all need our rest. However, laziness and slothfulness is a bad thing. Eating is not bad. We all need to eat to sustain our bodies. Gluttony, however, is. Drinking isn't a bad thing. We all need to take in liquid. However, Drunkenness is a sin. Begetting children. There's nothing wrong with that. That's great. We need population. However, when it becomes something else, when it becomes tainted or perverted or out of context, out of God's will, then it's immorality. You see, God blesses us and has blessed us with so many wonderful things. And the world, the system of the world, has taken it and has amplified it to the point that it draws us into a deeper sin. I mean, let's go home, flip on our TVs, and just watch some of the commercials. Is some of the things we see really necessary to sell the product? No, it's not. So what the world does is it tempts us to satisfy a normal desire in a forbidden way. It tempts us, it allures us, it draws us in to take something that God has blessed us with and use it for something immoral and inappropriate. Next one, lust of the eyes. This one, men are visual creatures. Ladies, if y'all don't know that, men are visual. We need to see stuff. This one, this trap, lust of the eyes, simply put, is covetousness. Easy way to explain that is, I have 2004 Chevy pickup. It's two-wheel drive, nice truck. Y'all have seen it. Covetousness is driving by the car lot and looking at a brand spanking new F-150 with all the bells and whistles, saying, man, I've got to have that. Lust of the eyes. Our eyes, like our other senses, are a gateway, and often it's the gateway we least protect. We see these things, we hear, and it draws us closer. You see, Eve's progression towards sin, one of the steps in that progression was she saw the fruit. And that's how we progress. You see, that lust of the flesh stirred something within me. It caused me to want something, and I wasn't willing to wait for God's plan. I wasn't willing to let or enjoy that pleasure within the confines of what God had set forth. So what I do is I get curious. And in that curiosity, what's it caused me to do? It causes us to do this. It causes us to maybe Google it. Maybe go on YouTube and see what it has, see what YouTube has on it. And then, as that sin's progression, it's not actually, it's still just temptation, sorry. We start to see it. And then once we see it, we can rehearse it in our mind. We can think about it because we now have a visual of what it might be. The third device, the third one, is that boastful pride of life. And then we can brag about it. Saw it, done it, I conquered it. It's all about me. Look at what I just done. How great was that? This is, in this one, besides that bragging, there's also that, instead of being neighbors with the Joneses, we got to compete with the Joneses. We have to one-up them. You see, because the Joneses just bought that new F-150 that I really like, so now I have to go buy a 250. It's got to be bigger and have more chrome. Can I afford a 250? No. But it doesn't matter if I can afford it because I have to beat John down the street. I'm going to take a fancy vacation. I'm going to buy clothes I don't need. I'm going to go to fancy restaurants. All because of the pride of life. I want to be able to boast. I want to be able to brag. Because I need to feel superior to you to complete myself. So therefore I go do this stuff because I'm actually inadequate and I'm empty because I don't have God. So it plays itself out. And then as time goes on, the debt gets bigger, the allure gets bigger. I have to have a bigger this, I have to have a bigger that. Now, instead of a 250, I need to have a 350 to make myself satisfied. You see, because these things, these three things, never satisfy. They temporarily seduce us, but they never satisfy us. They never complete us like what God does. And we have to ask ourselves, well, I'm saved. Does that mean it's over? And like some of the songs we just sang, the victory's won. Well, the war is won, but the battle's not. As long as we live in our flesh, as long as we have these bodies, as long as we're in this world. You see, the devil can't steal your salvation. He can't take that from you. But what he can do is he can mess up your fellowship. And these are the three ways he does mess up our fellowship. This is the three ways he tries to steal our joy of the Father's love and our joy of doing the will. And it doesn't happen all at once. You're not going to walk outside the church door today and bam, somebody sticks a brand new truck in your face. It's not what's going to happen. What's going to happen is you're going to walk outside the church today and you're going to make up your mind, hey, what are we going to go do for lunch? We can afford Subway. Let's not do Subway because I'm tired of Subway, because I'm tired of being poor. So let's go someplace else. Someplace, let's say the Italian Grill in Auburn, because that's more expensive than Subway. We're going to go do that. It'll be something little like that. It'll be these little things where worldliness creeps in on us. And gradually we become friends to the world. And as I become more of a friend to the world, I get less abuse from the world. And so it's not, it's not so bad. And then it's a little more. See, because I'm not satisfied here, and the world's treating me good, so it's okay. And that's a little more. And then a little more. You see, because Eve wasn't happy just looking at the fruit. David wasn't happy just seeing Bathsheba. That allure is always going to take us further than what we need it to go. And then the next thing you know, you're a casual Christian. You become stained by the world. Prayer becomes a chore. Worship becomes a real problem. Man, you don't even want to go to church anymore. I mean, you honestly mean going to church and sit around with a bunch of hypocrites? I mean, look at the sin that's in their life. How dare they look down on me? It's not that they're looking down on you. It's that you're looking down on yourself because the Holy Spirit's convicting you. And you want to get out of there. Heaven forbid you pick up your Bible, because if you pick up your Bible, you're definitely going to find out about that allure, that casualness that you have with the world. And the crazy part is, the part I don't understand about human nature, including my own, is what happens here in verse 17. We know this to be a fact. And the world is passing away with its lust, with its shameful pursuits, with its ungodly longings. But the one who does the will of God and carries it out lives and abides forever. We know that to be a fact, biblical fact. We know that. But yet, how often do we refuse to take the fight to the enemy? And I'm not talking about we're going to go kick in the doors of whatever. I'm talking about taking the fight to the enemy right here. Remember last week, loading the rifle? Remember the Bible verses? Remember that? It's exactly what it's talking about here. You see, because if I have a cache of ammunition, and I do, so do you, but if I never pick it up, if I never take it up, if I don't do anything with it, then when that allure comes, I don't recognize it for what it is. So I flirt with it. I have a little fun with it. But when I know what it is, when I know what I'm up against, and I know how to defeat it, simply, it is written, that's what Jesus said. And we take that battle right to it, and we take that thought, and we make it captive. And we make it submissive to the will of God. And then that allure becomes nothing. We see it for what it really is. We see it for a distraction. We see it as something that's going to rob my joy. It's going to steal my integrity. it's going to hinder my relationship with God. And each day we have to fight this fight. As long as you're upright and taking oxygen and nourishment, we have to fight it. I never stand up here and tell you guys that it's easy. Matter of fact, I think the older I get, the stronger and the harder the fight is. But, like the song said, he who is in me is greater than he who is in the world. If we're already fighting from, keep in mind we're fighting from a place of victory. We've already won. Nobody's excited about that. You've already won. Don't you get it? You've already won. You just have to fight. Stand. That's it. Trust in the Lord. Those are the simple things we do to overcome these temptations. Those are the simple things that we have to do. And never, ever forget, we already won. We won at salvation. These things are going to pass away. The things that are tempting you today may not be the things that are tempting you tomorrow. The bottom line of it is, Jesus won. And we're his. Therefore, we're victors. Let's never lose sight of that. Let's pray. Lord, we thank you for this victory we already have, and I would pray that you would impress upon us that, yeah, we still have to fight. We understand that, Lord. But we're not fighting for our lives, and we're not fighting from a place of potential defeat. We're fighting from victory. We've already won because you already won. We're already seated with you in the heavenlies. While we're here, Lord, there is much that we need to do. But to worry about these things, we don't need to. To walk around with our heads down in shame and defeat, we don't need to do that, Lord. What we need to do is trust in you. What we need to do is love you and wait for your victories. And then glorify your name each time we win. In Jesus' name, amen. If y'all would stand for our last